Hi guys and welcome to Awesome Premier League. Let's take a look at the 24th match day after that victory of Man City over Liverpool. The title is almost over, but we have many things to analyze with Tom Williams. Hello Tom, how are you?
Hi.
And also with you, so leave a comment in the comment section and you will have the chance to win a £10 free bet with Novibet. And since this is a live video, you can give a question to Tom and he will answer anything that you want to know. And remember, if you enjoyed the video, do not forget to click on the like button, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get all the notifications. So Tom, let's start with the best game actually that we have in this match day, because it's the first one. On Saturday, we have Leicester City, Liverpool after that defeat at Anfield against Man City. Probably the title race is almost over. Also hard times for Liverpool, hard times for Jurgen Klopp. His mother passed away during the week and the Reds are in a very, very bad moment. They lost against City, they lost against Brighton, but away they were able to beat West Ham and Tottenham, and now they have a very tricky game at the King Power Stadium against Leicester, who was able to beat Brighton in the FA Cup. But we know, Tom, how the Foxes struggle usually at home. This is third against the fourth, actually, in the standings.
Yeah, it's a hard one to call, this one, because, you know, Liverpool's recent form, as we know, has been terrible, and they've fallen out of contention in the title race, and they now find themselves in a battle just to finish in the top four. I mean, it's been a pretty spectacular collapse, and they look like they turned a corner with those consecutive wins away at Tottenham and away at West Ham, only to then go and lose at home to Brighton, at home to Manchester City. Maybe it'll do them good to be on the road again. Who knows? And as we know, Leicester have occasionally struggled at home this season. You think back most recently losing 3-1 at home to Leeds. Overall, Leicester's recent form has been decent. They've only lost one of their last 10 league games. And, you know, there's a big question mark over Liverpool. You know, we all assume that at some point they're going to spring out of this run of poor results and get back on track. But it's hard to know when that will happen, because, you know, the injured players that they've been missing so much aren't set to come back anytime soon. And I feel like the value here from a betting perspective is all with Leicester. The bet I'm going to recommend is Leicester Asian Handicap 0. You can get odds of 2.71 on that on Oddspedia currently. And that means that if Leicester win, the bet pays out. If they only draw, we get our money back. Their recent record against Liverpool hasn't been great. They lost 3-0 and 4-0 in the most recent games against them. But I just think that the two dynamics that the teams are on, Leicester going well, Liverpool, you know, sort of plunging down the table, I think the value here is backing Leicester.
Yeah, we have better odds for Leicester. Remember also that Liverpool, they have an eye on the Champions League where they are going to face Leipzig. Leicester also is going to play Europa League, but for sure they are going to be more focused in this very important game. Leicester-Liverpool with the odds lower for Liverpool, 2.19. But again, Tom is saying that Leicester City Asian Handicap 0 is a good bet. Then let's move on Saturday's games. Let's go to Selhurst Park. We have Crystal Palace, Burnley. We always say how difficult it is to read Crystal Palace during this season. They lost against Leeds in the last game after beating Newcastle and Wolverhampton. Always a roller coaster team. And now they face Burnley, who was one of the surprises of the FA Cup because they were kicked out by Bournemouth at home, actually, and they are, after a very good run in the previous month, now they are struggling a little bit. They drew against Brighton, they lost against Man City and Chelsea, defeats that we can all expect, and we know, Tom, how this team usually suffer outside Turf Moor.
This is true. Burnley are much happier playing in front of their own fans, and you know, their away form isn't always great. Palace, as you say, a difficult team to predict. And Palace also missing an awful lot of players. They've got the longest injury list in the Premier League currently. And one of those players who they are without at the moment is Wilfried Zaha. who's been ruled out for a few weeks at least with a hamstring problem. We know how vital he is to the way that Palace play. They've lost 17 of the last 19 games in all competitions that he's missed, which just shows what a talisman he is. I'm wary about backing Burnley away from home, given that they are generally much happier at Turf Moor. But I just think with Palace missing Zaha and so many other players, I fancy Burnley getting a result here. You can get odds of 3.4 or thereabouts on Oddspedia for Burnley to keep a clean sheet. And although they haven't had too many clean sheets in their most recent outings, we saw them go and get a clean sheet when they won at Anfield not too long ago. They do have it in them. And I think with Zaha being out for Palace and with so many Palace players being on the sidelines, I fancy Burnley to pick up at least a draw here.
All right. Actually, Harry Doherty disagrees with you. He thinks that Crystal Palace will win this game. We will see, because it's so difficult to predict. Tom is asking to you, to the other Tom, Spurs or Palace, who is bigger one-man team? Of course, Tom Beck is referring to Harry Kane. In this case, which team is more dependent? Tom Williams?
Well, I'd have to. I mean, the thing with Tottenham is they're a bit of a one-man team, but they're really a two-man team. It's the tandem of Kane and Son that Tottenham depend on. Whereas with Palace, it really is all about Wilfried Zaha. Having said that, Eberechi Eze has come in from QPR and been brilliant and is taking on some of that creative burden. But yeah, I think. I mean, we saw how much Tottenham struggled when Kane was on the sidelines. Son is not the same player when Kane isn't in the team. But having Son there is better than nothing. I think when Palace don't have Zaha, I think you feel his absence even more.
All right. We are talking a lot about Kane, so let's move on to the next game. Guardiola versus Mourinho. This is always very interesting, no matter in which competition we are talking about. Man City, Tottenham. Man City is still unbeatable. They beat Swansea also in the FA Cup very comfortably after that victory against Liverpool. So now they are 5 points clear at the top of the table with one game in hand. Really good position for Guardiola, whereas Tottenham, they lost in the FA Cup in that amazing game against Everton, 5-4 in the extra time, and at least they were able to win in the Premier League against West Bromwich Albion with Harry Kane back in the pitch and scoring, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to look beyond Manchester City here. Their form is incredible. 10 straight wins in the league. They're 5 points clear at the top of the table with the game in hand. They breezed through in the FA Cup in midweek, having rested players. They look unstoppable. Tottenham, on the other hand, form has been very up and down of late. Only 3 wins in the last 10 in the league. They're coming off the back of that grueling cup defeat away to Everton that went all the way to extra time. Harry Kane started on the bench. Still a bit of a question mark about quite how fit he is as he comes back from those 2 ankle problems, which will always be a concern for Spurs. Spurs have beaten City 2-0 in the last 2 meetings, despite City having most of the ball. But City, to me, look a different team since sort of the back end of December. I don't see anything stopping them. So I'm going to back City to win here and City to win to 0. You can get odds of 2.25 on Oddspedia on that at the moment. And I can't see how you can't back City at the moment. Their form is just so good.
Yeah, also, let's go. Thinks that Man City will win this game, and he's betting on Asian Handicap -2 because he thinks they must beat Spurs for 3 or 4 goals. For sure, Mourinho won't be happy with that. First, he's gonna he faced Ancelotti, his coach that went after him in Real Madrid, and now he's facing Guardiola, his beast when he was training Barcelona. So then on Saturday, the last game we have is Brighton, Aston Villa. Here the odds are very similar for both sides. And Brighton, they lost in the FA Cup in the very last minute, but they are in really, really, really good form in the Premier League. They drew against Burnley after beating Liverpool. Tottenham, no defeats in the last 5 Premier League games. And the important thing for them is that they are not conceding under 2.5 goals in the last 6 Premier League games, so a very consistent team. And now they faced Aston Villa, who were able to beat Arsenal in the last game. Tom, here a draw, or where do you place your bet?
I'm gonna back a small number of goals here. You can get odds of 3.20 or thereabouts on Oddspedia on there being under 2 goals. And I think given the way that Brighton have really tightened up at the back in recent weeks, and the fact that Villa don't let many goals in either, I think it'll be quite a close game. Villa's form is very up and down. They've alternated wins and losses in their last 6 league games. Wins over Newcastle, away at Southampton, at home to Arsenal, defeats away at Man City, away at Burnley, and at home to West Ham. So a difficult team to predict. Brighton have belatedly come into a run of decent form, 5 games unbeaten. And yes, they went out in the cup in midweek, but with Graham Potter having shaken up the team a little bit. So yeah, I think this will be a close game, and I don't think there's going to be many goals in it.
Okay, boring evening then in the south of England. On Sunday afternoon, we have Southampton, Wolverhampton. Actually, also we have this game tonight in the FA Cup. So I think it will be better actually to wait and see what we see in the FA Cup. But the real thing is that Southampton is performing way better in the FA Cup recently than in the Premier League. Actually, 5 defeats in a row in the Premier League. The last one against Newcastle. We know how they were thrashed by Man United. And Wolves, Tom, they were struggling a lot, but now they are way better. They drew with Leicester City after beating Arsenal and drawing again against Chelsea. So they've been having really tough teams, and they are getting points.
Yeah, I think we've reached a really interesting juncture in Wolves' season, in that there are signs of an improvement. There are signs of the sort of slump that they were on bottoming out, and there are indications that Wolves are turning a corner. As you say, those draws against Chelsea and Leicester, and that home victory against Arsenal. So signs of improvement at Wolves, but again, with the same old issue that they're still really struggling to create chances. One big chance in that home game against Leicester last weekend for Fabio Silva. Kasper Schmeichel makes the save, and that was about the only chance of note they created in the whole game. And it was a pretty classic example of where Wolves have been of late. Decent performance, clean sheet, but struggling to put the ball in the back of the net. Southampton, as you say, dreadful run of form, 5 consecutive league defeats, which is their worst run since 1998 in the Premier League, which gives an indication of how badly they're doing. Obviously, we're not likely to forget that 9-0 defeat away at Manchester United. They lost again, 3-2 away at Newcastle last time out. But it's hard to have too much faith in Wolves, given that they struggle so much in front of goals. So I think the draw stands out to me here. 3.34 currently on Oddspedia. I suspect Southampton fans would take that just to get stop this run of defeats and stop the team completely hemorrhaging points. And you look at where Wolves are. Yes, they're very solid, but they still really struggle to turn draws into wins. So for me, the draw looks the most likely outcome.
Harry Doherty is telling us both teams to score, odds around 2.0. Now on Oddspedia.com is another idea, because here the outright market is kind of difficult to predict. Probably also better again to wait and see what we see tonight in that FA Cup clash. Then in the Hawthorns on Sunday, we have West Brom, Man United, probably one of the easiest games to predict in terms of the outright market. I think we all think, Man United should win this game. They did West Ham, suffering a lot in the extra time in the FA Cup, and they drew against Everton at the very last moment. We know that they are 5 points away from Man City, but everything is still possible, and they are facing probably the worst team right now in the Championship. Tom, West Brom, they are looking awful and awful. They lost again against Spurs in the last 5 games, only 1 draw, 4 defeats, going down and down. Here you expect an easy victory for the Red Devils?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the one caveat there is that Manchester United have looked a little bit leggy in their most recent matches. There was the disappointment of conceding the stoppage time equaliser in that 3-3 draw at home to Everton, which I think felt like quite a big setback in the title race. And then with a relatively strong team, they really had to grind out that victory against West Ham in the FA Cup in midweek. I mean, I watched it and it was an absolutely dreadful game. Bruno Fernandes rested, came on late on. I'm sure that would have done him good. But yeah, you look at West Brom's form. I mean, we say this every time. We're waiting for the Sam Allardyce bounce. And they're bouncing about as much as a lead weight at the moment. 5 points from a possible 30 since Allardyce came in. And as much as United have looked a little bit tired, perhaps in the last couple of games, you can't see anything but United win here. You can get odds of 2.16 or thereabouts on there being over 3.5 goals. And the way that United are playing at the moment, the freedom with which they're scoring goals, I wouldn't have thought they'll have too much trouble scoring goals at the Hawthorns. So I can see them winning this fairly easily.
What is thinking Slaven Village at his home probably is in the way that this West Brom is taken. Hans, actually there is a point here. Hans Marenga is telling us that this Man United match may be a trap given the 120 minutes played midweek. And remember also Man United is playing Europa League against Real Sociedad, I believe. So could be a trap and could be something that West Brom can take advantage of. But again, they are in a really bad moment, and Man United, for sure, they must win this game to continue in the title race. Then on Sunday, we have a very good game, Arsenal-Leeds. Actually, only 1 point between these two teams, and Leeds are up in the standings after their victory against Crystal Palace. Again, Bielsa's team is looking better and better in this stage of the season. 3 victories in the last 4 games. The only defeat was against Everton and Arsenal. What to say, Tom, about Arsenal? We thought they were looking at the European position, but they are not. Actually, they lost against Aston Villa. They lost against Wolverhampton, 3 winless games, taking in consideration also that draw against Man United. Here they are really favorites to beat Leeds, but I wouldn't trust those odds. I don't know you.
Yeah, I don't see why the odds favour Arsenal so strongly. I mean, nothing in their most recent form suggests they should be considered favourites for this game. And as you say, Leeds on a decent run, 3 wins in the last 4. And without, sounding smug about it, I have raised doubts about how durable Arsenal's apparent revival was going to prove. And we've seen that, the last 3 games, drawing at home to Man United, not a terrible result, although United created the better chances, but then losing away at Wolves and losing away at Arsenal last time out. One thing that stands in their favour is that at home, at least, their defensive form has been pretty good. 3 straight clean sheets in their last 3 league games at the Emirates Stadium. But at the moment, I don't see the value in backing Arsenal. Leeds look a much better bet. Leeds double chance, so draw or a win, is available at odds of 2.09 or thereabouts on Oddspedia. Given the form that Leeds are in, given the ease with which they're scoring goals at the moment, it makes much more sense to back them than it does to back Arsenal currently.
I also like that, and Hans Marenge also likes that. I can see Leeds taking points at the Emirates. They have always been on top when playing big boys. This is what Hans is telling us about this game at the Emirates. Then we go to Liverpool, to Goodison Park. We have Everton, Fulham. Maybe they are full of adrenaline still. Everton, after that amazing victory against the Spurs, the Toffees got the victory in the FA Cup with that winner scored by Bernard. Before also they were able to draw against Man United at the very last minute of the game at Old Trafford with the goal scored by Calvert-Lewin. So they should be happy, their boost of morale, and now they face Fulham. They drew against West Ham. They are drawing and drawing and drawing. 3 draws in the last 4 games, but they are not winning and they are getting down and down. difficult here for Fulham to take points at Goodison Park, and actually the odds are pretty decent for Everton, 1.86 right now on Otspedia.com.
Yeah, I mean, just backing an outright Everton win, I think is a pretty solid bet. You know, we know what to expect from Fulham. You know, that they do keep their games tight. They are a difficult team to break down, but you know they are really struggling in terms of getting victories on the board. And I think we'll see a similar sort of approach here. Everton clear favourites to my eyes, but at the same time, you know, will there be fatigue after that incredible midweek game in the FA Cup? I guess that could be a factor. But yeah, happy to back Everton here. Perhaps Everton Asian handicap -1. You can get odds of 2.8 on that. I don't think they'll have it all their own way. I think Fulham will sort of look to bed in and frustrate them as they've done to so many of the teams that they've played of late. But I think Everton's firepower, you know, we saw that in that cup game against Tottenham, you know, with Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Bernard, as you say, getting the winner. I think that should be enough for them to win this relatively comfortably.
Okay, let's go for Everton here. Let's move on. On Monday, we still have 2 games to analyze in the London Stadium. We have West Ham, Sheffield United. West Ham really close to European positions. They are 6th row in the standings. They lost against United in the FA Cup, so maybe they are tired, also playing extra time. And in the Premier League, they drew against Fulham after beating on the road Aston Villa. But be careful with this game because Sheffield United, they are in form. Even if we see the standings and we see Sheffield United at the bottom, they beat Bristol City in the FA Cup, so they are in the quarterfinals now. And in the Premier League, they lost against Chelsea. But if we look at the last 9 games in all competitions of Sheffield United, Tom, I'm really surprised to see 6 victories, 3 defeats. This is a really good record, actually.
Yeah, and I guess we're waiting to see what is going to come of this mini revival that Sheffield United are experiencing. They've won 3 of the last 6 league games, and that included that remarkable away win against Manchester United a few weeks back. Is this going to be the platform for an incredible last gasp attempt to try and avoid relegation, or is it, you know, a flash in the pan? One thing we do know about Sheffield United is that they're a very difficult team to play against. They don't give up many goals. On the flip side of that, their away form this season has been wretched. Only 4 points taken away from home, and that includes that win at Manchester United. West Ham, as you say, frustrated away at Fulham last time out, and then lost against Manchester United in the FA Cup in midweek. Mikel Antonio sat out that game due to fatigue. He's still on his way back to full fitness after his hamstring injury. It looks like he might be back in the starting 11 for this game. David Moyes sounded quite upbeat about his chances of starting this game, and he makes such a difference to the way that West Ham play. I think if they can get him in the starting 11, it will substantially enhance their chances of victory. West Ham only 1 defeat in their last 9 league games, which is a measure of the decent form they've been on. So yeah, I'm backing them to beat Sheffield United here, but I don't think they'll have it all their own way. I think they will have to scrap for it. Maybe something like a West Ham 1-0 win. You can get odds of 6.5 on that on OddsPage, and I think that's the sort of game we're looking at. Sheffield United will force West Ham to work hard the way they always do, but I think West Ham's quality will tell in the end, particularly if they can call upon Mikel Antonio again.
Let's go. Agrees with you, actually. West Ham win 2-0. Probably we don't see many goals here in this Monday evening. In the last game we have to analyze, we go to the other side of the city, to West London, to see Chelsea, Newcastle at the Bridge. Chelsea, they are also playing tonight in the FA Cup against Burnley. But we spoke, actually, Tom, in our FA Cup show how Tuchel has changed something. There is an effect after the German coach took charge at the Bridge. They beat Sheffield United, Spurs and Burnley in the Premier League. Now they look way better. They are 5th in the standings. They can still dream with a top 4 position. And now they face Newcastle, one of these teams that are very always tricky to read. They beat Southampton 3-2. But usually they don't do the Magpies amazing victories. Actually, they are beating the smaller teams in the table, but they struggle with the big teams like Chelsea. So I guess and the odds also agree with what I'm saying, that they should win this game quite comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle are a funny team. You look at their most recent results, and there has been a clear improvement. It started in the second half of that home defeat against Leeds. They then won away at Everton unexpectedly, lost at home to Palace, but then last time out, 3-2 win against Southampton. I think an issue that Newcastle have got is some of the injuries they're having to contend with. We found out today that Callum Wilson, their best player, their centre forward, is going to be out for a few weeks with a hamstring problem. Fabian Schär, Javier Manquillo were also injured in that game against Southampton. So I think it'll be hard for Newcastle to sustain that momentum they had, given those key absentees. Still in the early days of Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea reign, it does feel like something is taking place. 4 league wins without defeat, 3 straight wins in their last 3 outings. They're not letting too many goals in. They're not scoring too many goals, but it does feel like they're moving in the right direction. And already we're getting a sense of what the team is going to look like under Tuchel and which players are going to be the key men for him. So, yeah, I think it should be a pretty straightforward win for Chelsea here. They are very strongly favoured by the odds. You have to be a little bit creative. Chelsea Asian handicap -2. You can get odds of 2.18 on that, and slightly worried about backing Chelsea that much, given that it is still early days under Tuchel. But I think what I've seen so far suggests that they should be able to win this pretty comfortably.
Yeah, all the injuries that the Magpies have, they might affect them at the bridge. Jogstar, for instance, say that Chelsea 2-0 might be also a good option to bet for sure. Also, we see these low odds for Chelsea due to the injury problems that Newcastle will face in this game. Then, Tom, we have analyzed all 10 games of this match day, but I want to listen to your ACCA for the weekend.
Okay, so my ACCA selection for this weekend, I'm backing Burnley to keep a clean sheet away at Palace. I'm backing being under 2 goals between Brighton and Aston Villa. And West Ham to beat Sheffield United and Everton to beat Fulham.
All right, and I've calculated the odds, and that gives us 33.32. This is your ACCA for the weekend. Then, Tom, we have everything. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for listening. Remember, you can still leave a comment in this video, and you will have the chance to win a £10 free bet with Novibet. And if you enjoyed the video, do not forget to click on the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to get all the notifications. Also, if it's easier for you, you can listen to all our videos in our podcast. And next week, we have more Premier League, we have Champions League, we have Europa League. So stay tuned and follow us on YouTube. See you.